A few months ago I decided to play the first Broken Sword game. And how do I put this? There is something appealing in this point-and-click saga. Some sort of aura, most certainly nostalgic, that surrounds the lovers of the series. So, released in 1996, the year I was literally non-existent. It was available on PC, but most people remember the PlayStation version. After the first game, the saga ran its course, with no less than 4 sequels and a 6th episode still in development. Despite that, I don't know about you, but growing up in the 2000s, I completely missed it. I must say that being the only one lover of point-and-click in my family, it wasn't part of the game genres and style that I was surrounded with during my childhood. However, I remember after playing games like Life is Strange or classic Telltale titles, I started developing an interest in more narrative games, where the focus is on the experience within the story rather than purely on gameplay. With this, opens a world of possibilities, hence point-and-click, starting with LucasArts, then taking a detour with Deponia or Gabriel Knight. Lots of memorable names and experience that I hope sharing with you one day. But today, I'm here to talk about Broken Sword, the Shadows of the Templars. If I'd been born in the 19s, growing up like my older brothers with the PlayStation, and by a twist of fate discovered under the Christmas tree this magnificent gift that is Broken Sword CD, I know it would have transported and captivated me, leaving a lasting memory, a nostalgia made of sweet thought that a lot of people still love to cherish. If we look at the French critic from back then, two arguments keep coming up: the quality of the cinematic and the memorable French dub. Now there is one of these I really didn't like. Really not at all.
Oh, ma tête! Je recommencerai plus. Combien de bouteilles j'ai bu? Non, ne me dis pas. C'est quoi ton nom, chérie?
George Stobart, mademoiselle.
Oh, un Américain.
Okay, we're not gonna let this false mystery linger. Yeah, it's the dub. I know a lot of French people appreciate it, notably the famous YouTuber Joueur du Grenier, but I just couldn't. There is a sort of exaggeration that deeply displeased me, and that's give off a more cartoon vibe that you feel way less in the original version.
Okay. I'll take a bunch of those white ones.
I wouldn't do that if I was you.
No?
They are lilies, monsieur. Some people associate them with death.
But, as for the cinematics, I've gotta admit that it would have charmed me back then. If we put it into perspective, compared to other games from the same period, it truly looks like a genuine little animated cartoon. Because yes, in Broken Sword, the gameplay sequences alternate with the scenes, where the cinematographic aspect, through its construction, gives life to the character and meaning to the narration. Even for the still scenes, when faced with a puzzle, the scene seems alive. The character move and react to your actions. But even better, look at this depth of field and camera movements that go with the action. It might be nothing for some people, but it was gives the title its essence. One that was rare at its time. Now, graphics aren't everything. And it's funny because I spent so much time talking about its unique visual aspect that I put the narrative aspect aside. The story of Broken Sword isn't revolutionary, even if it has a lot of twists, touches of humor that are nicely scattered, and an almost perfect balance between historical and fictional elements. It does, however, have its own flaws. Already, I don't know about you, but I don't find all the characters the most pleasant. they're sometimes a bit flagrant, even superficial for some. There are some passages that will be less accepted today. Spoiler alert.
No.
You took advantage while my hands were tied.
Okay, the rest of the story isn't that bad. We follow George, an American who, during his trip to France, witnesses a bomb attack in a cafe. The young American steps up to investigate because the French police didn't seem that interested. Shout out to the Parisian police. Speaking of, I guess we lose a lot of this magnificent accent in the original version.
Hey, I know the name well. He has a record for suspected blackmail, kidnapping, arson, and art theft.
An all-rounder, huh? How come he's on the loose?
His bravado is matched only by the courtroom skills of his attorney.
Please, tell me I don't sound like that. Along with George, we discover the beautiful streets of Paris, transported by its architecture. Then, over the course of the investigation, we travel to Ireland to discover a castle and a picturesque pub. Next comes Spain, with its very bourgeois manors, charming still. And my favorite place, Siberia, which, thanks to its architecture and culture, reminds me of travel memories close to my heart, whose landscape are dreamlike, transporting you through its unknown desert. I never had the chance to travel to the Middle East, but some memories from North Africa resurfaced and enriched this video game adventure for me. This is precisely what I love in video games. This simplicity in making you dream, right here in the real world through the eyes of artists. A part of the world reconstructed, just a click away. While the game certainly has its flaws, its writing and characters becoming outdated, I granted one favor: it carried me away. In just a few hours, I felt like I traveled the world, being the company of human beings who are surely a bit stereotypical, but still able to share with me a part of their culture. People who, again, are surely tinged with lots of humor, but full of certain sensibility that, more than mere comical, are touching. It's not the mystery of the Templar that hooked me. I found the investigation entertaining, but it has this aspect I've already seen before, and I can tell you a few months after playing the game, the detail of it just slipped from my memory. Who did this? Who stole that? For which reasons? While the antagonists remain blurry, I know I can still talk to you about Nejo, this little friendly boy who's amazed by a simple Red Bull, or the Spanish countess, who's a bit lonely living with her overprotective gardener, and who gets attached to all the information that you shared with her, because of their connection to her family's history. The last point that we should talk about are the puzzles, because, like every good point and click, the essence of the gameplay is in the object that you collect, combine, or use. All these little moments, dwelling are senseless at times, where our brains are dying to find a solution. Broken Sword isn't a revolutionary point and click in its gameplay. Surely, it's full of humor and a complete narration in which unique reactions come with every object. We're far from a completely wacky and comical treatment that we find in certainly big titles of its kind. No, here it's mostly realistic, sometimes even frustratingly so. Video game connoisseurs will definitely remember this famous God passage. And I admit, after many tries, I was happy to be able to help myself with a walkthrough. Okay, you don't need a PDF of solutions at hand to finish the game, I assure you. But like every point-and-click game, there is always a small annoying puzzle that asks too much of its player to actually reach the end. Put aside these details, and the game could be done in more or less 10 hours, if you don't go into the temptation of easiness. To conclude this retrospective, I'd like to touch on the new version available on PC and Wii since 2009. While I hesitated a lot between which version to choose, between the classic one or the director's cut, I was won over by the arguments of the nostalgic ones, and decided to leave the adventure as close as possible to the original conditions, a choice that some would find questionable. Either way, feel free to talk about it thoughtfully in the comment section. Who knows, maybe some of you would be interested in a short video on the director's cut version. Thank you for watching this video until the end. Don't be shy to check the rest of my content, subscribe and give a little thumbs up, it will make me really happy. And see you soon!